Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, John, and this is Crazed Criminals. So, the story I'm about to tell you guys is probably one of the most horrific things I think I could ever tell you folks. And what I mean by horrific, some of you may not be able to make it through the entire story. It's pretty graphic. So, the story takes place in Germantown, Maryland, and begins in 2014. This is a story of the Demon Assassins. As I stated, extremely graphic. So listener discretion is advised. So this story takes place, it's in a town outside of DC. It involves a group of people, but the main two characters here, two female, Zakiya Avery and Manisa Sanford. Both of these females are part of a group called Excusia Ministries. And this is where they kind of made a group of their own, as four members according to police. And the group is called the Demon Assassins. Now, in this group, there's ranks. Zakiya was the commander, and Manifa was one of the sergeants. Now, I also have the two other people's names, and we'll get into that. One of them, believe, what sounds backed out, but we'll get into that. Now, I will make it known that two have already been diagnosed with some type of mental disability, which probably played a part in them forming this group. Now, I'm not too sure how long ago the group was formed, but the police did speak to the pastor of Excusa Ministries, and he was not aware of anything I'm about to tell you. So it seems that it was definitely like a side thing, almost like a cult type of deal, which some cults are pretty scary as hell, and this one seems to be no different. So on the evening of January 16th, 2014, the two had scheduled an in-home exorcism with another group member named Troy. Now, Troy never showed up, but one of the neighbors did find something very awkward, and it was that there was a baby that was left in the car, and he said the baby had been there for about 45 minutes. So he placed a call to 911. And listen to what happens.
What's the emergency?
I have a baby in a car. It's been here it's reported to me about 45 minutes. The mother came out. She reported that she had something going on and she didn't want her baby to be in danger in the house.
Are you just a citizen?
Back up off me, please.
I'm sorry?
You need to back up off me, man.
Hello?
Okay, I'm getting ready to be. I'm being attacked by two females at 19041.
Okay, why are they attacking you?
Because they came to check on the baby out here.
Now, at that time, that's when they took the baby inside, and that's where all hell, literally hell, broke loose. Now, Troy was supposed to come over, but again, he didn't, which makes me wonder whether or not he backed out because he was scared or there was really something else that was going on. Now, the next morning, another concerned citizen had called 911 to report a bloody knife that was outside. Now, I'm not sure if it was like the next door neighbor or if it was the neighbor down the street, because apparently like this neighborhood's like really close knit. But I couldn't find any of the other 911 calls. But it was about 9:30 in the morning. Police arrived at the house after receiving this call, and they could not believe what they found. This all occurred in the 19,000 block of Cherry Bend Drive, which is in Germantown. Now, as police entered the house, Zakiah was coming down the steps with her oldest son, Martella Harris, who was 8. And that's when Avery attempted to make a run for it, and she ran out the back door. Now, that's when police went through the house. They arrested both subjects. But inside this 2-story townhome, officers located the lifeless bodies of 1-year-old Norrell Harris and his 2-year-old sister, Zina Harris. Both were lying in their mother's beds. 5-year-old Tanaya Harris was barely alive in another bedroom, and she was curled up in a fetal position with multiple stab wounds. Now, again, both subjects were arrested, and they were taken in for questioning. And at this point in the case, this is where everything had come to light. Now, back at the crime scene, they discovered 20 stab wounds to her youngest child, who was only 18 months. And the 2-year-old was choked and stabbed in the chest. Now, what in the hell were they thinking? Like, how could you be so pissed off, stupid, or mentally disabled to do something like this? This is, for one, a true sign that our mental health system has something wrong with it. And mental health is pretty important, and not enough being done for it. For one, I think everyone who gets pregnant should have to take some kind of mental exam to confirm you're even in the right frame of mind to be able to handle taking care of another human being, because some people are just definitely not in the right frame of mind to be, taking care of kids, raising kids, or even multiplying. Now, her 2 kids were barely alive, taken to the hospital. So both Monifa Sanford and Zakiah were both charged with 2 counts of murder in the first degree and 2 counts of attempted murder in the first degree. And they were both being held without bail at that time. Now, during questioning, and according to documents, what had went down in the house, and Zakiah and Monifa had told police that they had witnessed the children's eyes turning black and saw a black cloud hovering over the kids. They then saw demons jumping into Norrell. She tried to snap his neck. Now, the Montgomery State's Attorney John McCarthy said in court, she then began to choke him. Sanford Navy then stabbed Norrell, then watched the demonic spirit float over to the other children. And at one point, the spirit apparently jumped inside of Sanford, who was then attacked. They then stabbed each and every child in the house as they watched the demon go from body to body. The two women, or demons, whatever they want to be called, decided after the attack they were going to go get showered together to wash the blood off themselves. They also got cleaned up the crime scene, and then they prepared the children to see God. It was to be an after-lasting life in heaven. McCarthy added. So they washed the bodies of the children and wrapped them in blankets so they would appear clean before God. This is some of the craziest things I've ever heard in my entire life. Now, there were other 911 calls that occurred. A couple of them came after the fact that when everything was done, apparently there was people that had heard, bouncing around going on, but they figured it was, a house full of kids, so it probably wasn't anything. At least it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. So, District Judge Gary G. Evering ordered a psychiatric evaluation for Zakiah Avery, and the judge said that Avery had been committed to a mental health facility in the past. It also appears that Manifa Sanford had also struggled with some sort of mental health issues in the past as well. She reportedly attempted to commit suicide at least twice. But Sanford's mental health evaluation had been postponed until a defense attorney had claimed her case. Both defendants, they were held at Clifton T. Perkins during a trial, and the main focus during this case was that they were not criminally responsible because, come on, the act of the crime itself, there was really no one else who could have done the crime considering they admitted to it. And even the same people say crazy things like they killed 2 kids and attempted to kill 2 more, but didn't do it. They did it, bottom line. Now it's the part of just getting them convicted. It seemed like this case was never going to end. But in the end, who really wins this? No one. Really. Now, in March, on the 11th, the demon assassins strike again. At 11:12 a.m., the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue personnel, they responded to a house in the 19,000 block of St. Johnsbury Lane, also in Germantown, for the report of an unconscious male. And upon arriving at the house, they were met by Zena. And Zena was combative and prevented emergency responders from tending to the unconscious male. And according to police, when officers arrived at the residence, they observed Zena in the front doorway of the home. He was pacing back and forth and jumping up and down. And when approached by the police officers, Zena retreated into the house and broke a basement window with his bare hands. And after a brief struggle, he was taken into custody and he began to yell, "Demons, I killed demons." And he was taken to a local hospital for treatment despite life-saving efforts from the paramedics. The victim, he did die. Now, the major crimes detective responded to the scene and determined that Zena had been dropped off at the residence on the night of Tuesday, March 10th. And the victim, the gentleman's name was Dagadoo, he was a pastor, was asked to pray over Zena and help him with hearing his voices. So I'm taking that it would be Zakiah, this guy, Troy, and Monifa. That seems to be the 4 demon assassins. So, for Monifa's case, it all came down to an end on January 16th, 2015. And Monifa pled not guilty and got a criminally not criminally responsible, but was ordered to be held at the Clifton T. Perkins Hospital and to not be released until court ordered release. So basically, it looks like she would be there for a bit. I did check on the case status, and it doesn't appear that there's any action that's been going on for a good bit of time. Now, Zakiya Avery, that's a whole different story. Her case didn't want to end for anything. It just seemed like it was gonna just like go on forever. So on June 19th, 2014 was the first scheduled court appearance. Now that was after all the paperwork and grand jury testimony was ordered with a chemist and all that court mumbo jumbo. And the court date was finally postponed. Now on July 23rd, 2014, the case was called for an administrative hearing. The defendant was not present at that time, and this hearing was for post-payment date to be set again. This time, the date was set for January 20th, 2015 at 9:30 in the morning. I have no idea why anyone would post-date a date for that far out. I mean, evidence and testimony could be lost. Anything can happen, but who the hell am I to say anything? So the defendant shows up with their lawyer, and according to court documents, they waived their right to a speedy trial, which means the case could be heard past 180 days. Now, January 9th, 2015, the defendant had asked for a postponement until June 24th. And somehow was delayed until December 14th, then into the early months of 2016. Now, March 14th, April 18th of 2016, and then into June 2016. It just seemed like everything was just going on and on. Just convict this lady, for crying out loud. I mean, she is already admitted to the police that she did it. I mean, it doesn't get any more basically cut and dry than that. And the evidence that was at the house. Now, I do know that the lawyers during the case had used a video of during the police interview. She was in there, she was scratching herself, she was moving her hair, she was doing all kinds of like very, very weird things. Some could have said that they could have been the act of the devil, but who knows? You know, I mean, I can act crazy and scratch myself and shake my head and pull my hair, and I can act like I'm crazy too. Especially if you want to get out of some stuff, you'll do whatever it takes. At least I know I would. So now we come up to September 12th of 2016. A guilty plea was filed. And on September 15th, 2016, the case is finally closed. For now, at least. Patient is committed to Clifton T. Perkins. And she was ordered there. She pled guilty. She got a not guilty or not reasonably criminally responsible. I don't know how the hell that's even possible, because I don't know. The court system in general just seems to be so screwed up everywhere. And I just don't know. So, like I said, it was closed for now. Now, on July 1st of 2020, the defendant sent a letter to the court. And I haven't been able to figure what out that letter said, but I do know the case is currently open back up as of July 1st of this year for an evidentiary review. So I may have to bring up another part to this Demon Assassins. Maybe we'll do a part 2. Because I have a feeling that that letter had said that she's no longer maybe a danger to the community, danger to herself, which I find horse crap, because if you kill 2 of your kids and try to kill the other 2, it could have been 4 kids murdered. You should be never let out. That is going to be the craziest crap I've ever heard. You should never be let out. As a matter of fact, you should probably be buried under the jail. Now, the other gentleman, his name is Roland Zena. Now, he got charged with involuntary manslaughter. Now, that was on the initial, all the court papers come up as June 11th, 2015, is when all the court papers, say the initial case and all that other good stuff. Now, he got convicted on the involuntary manslaughter charge, and that was on May 1st, 2017, and he got 10 years, and he got credit time served 781 days. This case took a good bit of time also. I do know that the defendant, Roland, sent in a letter on April 12th of 2019 for a motion for his sentence modification or reduction, and it was denied. That was on the 12th. He sent it on the 10th. So the judge wasn't playing any games with that. Now, as for Troy, I don't see anything on this dude, which is kind of crazy, because I don't know if he was maybe one of them ones where he wanted to be a part of a gang and then he heard some crazy stuff going on, like exorcisms and killing demons, or maybe, the 2 girls said, hey, we're going to do exorcisms on our 4 kids. And he said, hell no. And he backed out. Now, that was probably the smartest thing he could have did, because he'd be in jail too, without any doubt. Now, folks, mental health is very important. And it's not looked upon close enough. Because if you look at how things are taken these days, and I'm going to give you a good example here. Look at our veterans. The VA treats our vets like crap. And that's not from an outsider. This is me that has known a lot of veterans. And they all say the VA treats them like crap. Look at our homeless vets. There's thousands of them. Our vets, they're the reason we're able to do this podcast. They're the reason we're able to wake up every day and drink cups of coffee and go out and do stuff because they fought for this country. And they're committing suicide left and right. The whole medical system is just so foobar. And nobody knows how to do anything about it. And I don't understand why. And things like this with these two chicks, Zakai and Monifa. And then you got Roland. And they're just making plans to just do homemade exorcisms. Exorcisms are performed by the church. By people who are trained. Now, I've been in the paranormal field for 15 years. I can tell you that there are a handful of people in each state that can do exorcisms. Now, they're appointed by the church. Now, you have your demonologists who are trained in studying demons and stuff like that. But this act right here, to me, just seems so out of this world crazy. That's not an act of God. That's what they said. They said that they were doing an act of God and they were saving these children. And they got out of it. They didn't get jail time. Well, Roland did. Roland got the crap out of the stick when he killed the pastor a couple months after these two gurus got locked up. And now they're just spending their life at a mental institute. I don't know why they didn't get just sent to jail, other than the fact that they were mentally competent to stand trial. I don't know what that says about the criminal justice system. So if you kill somebody and you just say, hey, it was an act of God and I saw a demon and I'm going to go into the jail and start scratching my face and that crazy, and you get off of it, hey, it's so far-fetched, so far out of whack. Definitely, when you murder somebody, I'm sorry, you're guilty, especially with the evidence like that. I can't even explain how crazy that sounds. But they did. They got away with it. I mean, not fully, but they're going to be at the Clifton T. Perkins Center and enjoy life there. So anyway, we're going to cut this out. And I will see you guys next week. Be dropping a show on Thursday. So tune in. Y'all have a good night. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Have a good one.